2025 special called meeting of mayor and council. I'd like to call on Councilman Tim Carroll to lead us in prayer. Please remain standing for the pledge. You can join us.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you and just want to thank you for the blessings you continue to provide us. We ask that you continue to keep your healing and calm hand on this community and its citizens. We are still in need of all that you can provide. We ask all of this in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Council, in your package, you've had time to look over the minutes from two meetings, December 19th and January 9th. Are there any additions or deletions to either? Seeing none, minutes are approved by acclamation. Move on to item 3, bids, contracts, agreements, and expenditures. We'll start with Ben O'Dowd, consideration of bids for a new bucket truck for the engineering department. Ben, how you doing?
Doing well. Yes, sir. This is a request to purchase a new bucket truck. This is an approved budget item for this fiscal year. It's to replace an existing bucket truck, which is 22 years old and which is at the end of its service life. Staff recommends approval of the low responsive bid to Allen J. Fleet in the amount of $158,590.
Council, any questions about the bucket truck? Ben, thank you. Hold tight. Council, that's yours for action.
Mayor, make a motion to approve the bid as presented. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands. Council, thank you. B is consideration of bid for a new crew cab service truck for the engineering department. Ben again.
Yes, sir. This is to replace the 30-year-old school bus that our stormwater cut crew drives around. We are refitting them with a crew cab vehicle and cut trailer. That's the combo that we're going to be doing. This is for the actual vehicle itself, which is a crew cab service truck capable of pulling basically a landscape rig, similar to what the right-of-way maintenance crews use. Staff recommends approval of the lowest bid to Phil Brandon Ford in the amount of $74,616.
Council, any questions for Ben on this one? Ben, thank you. Council, yours again for action.
Mayor, make a motion to approve the bid as stated.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands. Council, thank you. Move on to item C, consideration of bids for 2 new Tahoe SUVs for the fire department. Chief Boutwell, looking spiff.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're requesting permission to move forward with the purchase of 2 SUVs that were approved in this year's budget. One will be replacing a 19-year-old vehicle that is a Ford Expedition SUV. The other one will replace a 22-year-old F-350 pickup truck. With high miles. The decision to go with SUVs is being the EMS agency now. There's a lot of equipment that's required by the State Office of EMS in order for us to stay in compliance. The extra room will accommodate carrying that equipment, which takes some of the burden off of the engines. Not a lot. We're going to go into this next year with a plan for quick response vehicles, but that is the decision to move towards the SUVs, is to accommodate that needed space for equipment. Low bid come in from Casper at $54,587. They were budgeted at $52,000, so they're $2,000 over budget. Both of them would be $109,174. I'll entertain any questions.
Council.
Just got one thing that I offer you. Like, would you say those SUVs, it's going to take some of the equipment off the fire truck itself?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. So what we found is, we were buying chargers for admin vehicles. Now that we're an EMS agency, we can't accommodate the equipment that's required by the State Office of EMS. Most of this equipment now is provided by SGMC, so I'd be remiss by not saying that and giving credit to SGMC for helping us with that equipment. It's the same equipment on the fire truck when it comes to emergency medical calls. So nothing's coming off of the truck, but there are times that the trucks get tied up with vehicles, and so we answer medical calls. And so I have 3 admin vehicles that are licensed as EMS units. And so that's the reason. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other questions for Chief? Chief, hang tight. Council, yours for action.
Make a motion, sir, to approve issue first presented by Chief.
All in favor, show of hands. Council, thank you, and I think that is all you had today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. On to item D, consideration of bids for rehabilitation of the number 4 high service pump, Guest Road Water Treatment Plant. Jason Barnes, tell us all about it. Jason, how you doing?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. How are y'all? Yes, this is the rehab, our number 4 high service pump, located at the water treatment plant on Guest Road. And this pump's been in, it's a vertical turbine pump. It's been originally installed in 1992 when the plant was initially built. Pump was originally rated to flow 6 million gallons of water. The pump is 25 feet in length and contains multiple bearings and impellers that's on the shaft. It is basically turned by a 300 horsepower motor. On the top of that, to be able to, this is what pumps water from the ground storage tanks to the city. Back in the originally pumping rates in 2024, the operations staff noticed that the capacity was not the same and it lost efficiency. So we had one sealed bid that was received on November 24th, 2024. It's just one bid from Road Well Drilling, an amount of $134,000. We budgeted $135,000, so we just come under budget. Staff recommends approving the bid submitted by Road Well Drilling in the amount of $134,000. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Council.
You said, this service pump truck, right? Do we have a warranty? We have a warranty with this drilling? I mean, I don't know if it's drilling. It's well drilling.
Yeah, it's a high service pump. Basically, that pumps the water from warranty wise. I mean, this pump's been in 1992. When we have any problems, usually we get about a year or so warranty. But when they come in and rehab it, they'll take the whole motor off the top. The company will come in, Roe will come in and pull the shaft. There's a bowl at the bottom. There's probably due to some impellers that have been there that it just needs to be changed out, and they'll take all that out and redo it, take it to their machine shop, put all the shaft and impellers all back together in the bowl, bring it back, install it, put it back down into the casing of the well, into the where it sits at, the holding tank, put the motor back on, and then we'll be good to go. So it's just, they just wear out over years, and I mean, it's been there a long time, so it's just losing capacity. Yes, ma'am.
Council, any other questions? All right, Jason, hang tight. It's yours for action, Council.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, show of hands. Good night. Jason, belt filter press design.
Yes, sir. So, Council, if you remember, August 8, 2024, I came for the original design proposal. Request was amount of $162,610. We actually, once that was approved by y'all, we come in and we had our 10% design, went to a 30% design, and then when we got to our 60% design, we found some process of executing the design, identified some modifications that are necessary but were not previously scoped on the meeting of August the 8th when we first brought the proposal. Just to give you a quick, those are just a little bit of those. We had 3 items to that. To the existing de-water building ventilation fans to comply with the National Fire Protection Agency code. The fans were actually a 2-speed. So with that, they want a continuous ventilation in this building with this belt filter press because of the methane gas in the building. So basically we come in, and that design modification includes to convert from the dual speed to a single high speed. So it'd be a continuous fan that's all the time in there due to methane gas or anything like that. So that was one of the modifications. The other one was number 2 was to replace the existing back filter press wash booster pump to meet the new belt filter press wash booster pump, the requirements for the flow and pressure point of that. And then the third was the change in the basis of design for approach the expansion of the belt filter press drainage basin. That is expected to reduce demolition and construction efforts and results in additional design effort. Basically, we're going to have to building the surface to expand the drainage basin to fit the new belt filter press versus demoing and rebuilding the drainage basin. This was one of the design modifications. Number 3 was due to this coming back to y'all to amend this proposal. So now the proposal is $181,255, and the result of that is the difference is the $18,645. So the staff recommends to approve the amended proposal submitted by CDM Smith in the amount of $18,645.
Council questions? Jason, thank you.
Mayor, I would like to say we are looking at this belt filter press is very expensive. I am trying to get all the options with my staff and with Ben's help as well, but we're looking at different ways that we can get a turnkey deal. Charter back in January of 2024, this belt filter press alone was $414,000. This year now, January of 2025, has already went up to $475,000, with a difference of about almost 15%. That is not including installing this. So we're looking at a local representative from Templeton that is actually trying to get us some prices and see if we can go instead of charter. So we're looking at some different ways, just letting you know with the inflation environment is just where we are. So, but I'll come back to you once we get everything down on the construction side. But I just want to let y'all know that.
Come back next fiscal year, please.
Yes, sir.
Council, any questions for Jason?
From your opinion, you said this person, you're gonna come back later.
This is just a design proposal. So once I come back and we'll do the construction side of that, actually the belt filter press and the installation at a later, I'll come to y'all for that approval.
The expensive part.
The expense part, yeah. This is just a design.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Council, any other questions for Jason? Give it to you for action.
Mayor, make a motion to approve the request as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Show of hands. Council, thank you. Jason, thank you. All right, we'll move on to item F, consideration of a request to purchase new Motorola portable radios. Police Chief Leslie Manahan will present. I do want to point out that the next person up has to eat Ben's overage.
I'll just take my turn.
Hi, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager. Thank you. As you all know, our portable radios are our lifeline for our first responders. Without them, we're not going to be able to respond to anything. So they're very important that we have the best of the best that's out there. The current Motorola radios we have are over 13 years old. They're out of warranty. You can't get parts for them anymore, and within the next year or so, they're going to be obsolete. On top of that, within the next 2 years, Lowndes County E911 is mandating that all of our portable radios be time division multiplication algorithm, TDMA, enabled, so that way more people can talk on certain frequencies. Motorola is the only radio right now that's able to do that. So we're asking to go ahead and move forward with purchasing 10 of them for the amount of $89,537.90. That'll give us time to test these radios out and ensure that this is what we'll be able to use. Then come splice time, myself and the fire chief will be in front of you to outfit the rest of our departments.
What should we tell him?
What's that?
What should we tell him?
Please. It's going to be bad. I can tell you that.
Is there another?
Right now, no. So right now, Motorola is the sole source for the services that E911 is mandating.
Council, any other questions for Chief?
That's the same one that Lowndes County is using.
Lowndes County is going to have to switch to this one.
This also.
Yes, ma'am. Everybody's going to have to switch to this. So you'll have to pay to get your current radios TDMA enabled, which has cost about $60,000, but for radios that are no longer serviceable. So we'll just have to start over pretty much.
Council, any other questions for Chief? Chief, thank you.
Thank you.
Council, yours for action.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve this exposition for the $89,537.09.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands. Council, thank you. Chief, again, thank you. Whatever Larry Ogden wants to come up. Yeah, no, it's him. Consideration of an amendment to the Via Transit Service Contract for the city of Valdosta. Our fantastic public works and former traffic management. And
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I do apologize for jumping the gun. It's a hard deadline here. I stand before you to ask for an extension for the VIA contract. If you recall, 6 months ago, I stood before you all and asked for an extension of 180 days because our original contract was coming to an end, and we found out at the last minute that the state told us we could not use RFQ, we had to use RFP. So I asked for a 90-day extension, which was amendment number 5. That was granted. So in the process of working through that extension, we ran into some unforeseen delays. So now before you asking for another extension of the contract, amendment number 6, this extension will be for 1 month with the addition of 1 additional month, because currently our 180-day extension will end at the end of this month. If we do not have a contract in place, that will affect our funding for VIA. So VIA has agreed to give us that extension with the approval of Mayor and Council of 1 month. If the project is not completed in 1 month, we have an additional 1 month added to that. So we have essentially 2 months to finish the new contract. So I got word this afternoon that our city legal team and VIA legal team has agreed upon the new contract. So my next step will be to get that contract and email it up to GDOT for them to review it and approve it. So tonight, I asked for an extension or amendment number 6 for the VIA contract to give us the additional time to complete the process and give GDOT time to review the new contract. I'll take any questions that you may have.
Council. That was very well explained. Larry, thank you. Council, it's yours for action.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we grant this extension.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands. Council, thank you. Consideration of professional design service agreement for repairs to Sugar Creek Steam Bank and Sanitary Sewer. Ben O'Dowd, Chief Engineer.
Chief Engineer, wow. Thank you, Mayor and Council. As you are all probably aware, we did have a rupture in the sanitary sewer system along Sugar Creek between Bay Tree and Gornto Road. City staff identified this breach in the sanitary sewer system about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. We currently have bypass operational. What this is a request for your approval of funds for surveying, design, and most importantly, railroad permitting. This particular portion of sanitary sewer runs alongside and parallel to the railroad, as well as within their right-of-way. So there is no reality here where we do not deal with the railroad. As you are aware, we do have the engineering consultant library that we can select from. We selected LEA to perform this work based on workload availability and their willingness to get started on the project immediately. Their proposal amount for survey, design, and railroad permitting is $133,000. You may be curious, there was an initial proposal on the original agenda item, which was a reduced amount. Between the submission of the original agenda item and this revised agenda item, a new and separate sewer main break, also on Sugar Creek, which we have since temporarily repaired, was identified. And so I reached out to LEA and asked them to expand their proposal to include survey, design, and permitting for that additional located break. That's why the price jumped there. I just want to let you know that was why. Any questions for me?
Yeah, get best, sorry, go ahead, Sam. Best guess on the scope of this project?
What we're looking at right now, the I had conceptual layouts, but they were a little, there was a lot of line work on there. So the existing sewer main runs parallel to the right-of-way of the railroad and currently runs on the stream side of the railroad, which 20, 30 years ago was not an issue. The stream at that time was located further away from the railroad tracks. As you're aware, streams over time generally tend to shift, meander, change in character, especially streams like Sugar Creek, which is named for the sugar sand, which comprises its banks, which shifts and moves very easily during and following rain events. During and following the November rain event, numerous locations, we had washes in numerous locations. We had a wash at the Gornto Road Bridge, which caused issues there. We had a wash over the Gornto Road force main, which we're currently in the process of doing an emergency repair on, where the force main was basically, it was buried in the bank, and then the bank shifted, completely disappeared overnight from one rain event. And so we're currently in the process of recovering that. But to get to your point, so the sewer runs along the railroad tracks on the river side or on the stream side. What we're proposing to do right now is to shift it, basically abandon the section that runs parallel to the railroad tracks on the stream side, which is the portion of the line which was damaged, cross under the railroad tracks and pass parallel to them on the upland side, which would situate the sewer main on the safe side of the railroad tracks. And I would hazard to guess the railroad will do whatever they have to do to keep the stream from encroaching any further into the railroad tracks. So that's staff's preference. Again, we're kind of beholden to Norfolk Southern right now. So we're going to go through this exercise. This is the best way to do it. This is the best way to do it that keeps the sewer safe for many, many, many years to come. So we're going to try and do it this way. If Norfolk Southern pushes back or does not allow us to encroach within the right-of-way in this particular way, which is a possibility, we may have to go back where the line currently is, which would not be ideal for a multitude of reasons. But I think that answered your question in the longest way possible.
Yeah. I'd take a price if you could guess at that too, but
price,
nope, never mind.
I love this game.
Never mind. You don't have to. There's a lot in that one.
No, there's quite a bit to this, and there's a lot that could impact price that I don't know yet. But I will say one of our objectives with this early on was to engage with the contractor to establish an emergency bypass, i.e. get pumps on the ground, fuse HDPE lines to form a closed system between manholes, and do all of the minimum necessary repairs to get the thing from stopping going into the creek. And then we hit a pause button. So we're not just going forward with the emergency repair to that contractor.
Good.
Right? We're okay, we'll pay you to operate the bypass and establish the bypass. And what this is a design services contract with LEA, so we can put plans together, get it permitted through the railroad, and get it out to bid, which the goal there is to be able to play the market.
A couple $100,000 less.
Yeah, and not be, in the position that we have been in recently. So.
Sorry, Sandra, that was long. Go ahead.
That's fine.
Sorry.
That's not even long. My question to you, the reason you started and did this design build is because of the crack in the creek before, the one they had before, what you said is,
Yes, ma'am.
over that way,
Sugar
Creek. So because they had that, and it was repaired, now we're gonna try to prevent it from happening too many other times in the future. So what we're trying to do is get a design or something. Fix it.
So what we suspect happened is the portion of the line which runs parallel to the stream and parallel to the railroad tracks was exposed due to the rain event. The bank, which did contain the line, washed away. And when that happened, the supporting foundation soils underneath one of the downstream sections of the line shifted sufficient to cause that one segment of pipe to move out of place. And when that one segment of pipe moves out of place, the way that the pipes are configured, they pop off in sequence. And so what occurred effectively was we lost one segment of pipe, and then after that we lost several other segments of pipe. And what we had really was, unfortunately, a sewer line which was discharging directly into the stream. what we have active right now and what is our standard procedure for when we encounter line failures and breaches like this is we plug and we isolate the damaged section of the gravity sewer, and we temporarily operate the sewer system in pressure format. So what we do is we plug the manhole upstream and downstream of the break. We engage with the contractor to perform the fusing work necessary to create a closed pressurized system between those two isolation manholes. And then we operate a pump in perpetuity to keep the sewer moving through the system. And so effectively we set up a temporary lift station. Yes, ma'am. So we have not fixed the damaged gravity sewer. That's what this is. That's what this design is for.
Go back now and fix it in the process of fixing this and so forth. That's what I was trying to get you. You just did a temporary when you did the bypass.
Yes, ma'am.
And to prevent this basically from continuing, we have this, so we need to design another way.
Yes, ma'am.
So what you're saying is that we are going to ask, just reroute things under
Yes,
the
ma'am.
railroad area.
Yep.
So we will, I heard you say something with the railroad. Will we be needing also to get, I guess, permission for their right of way as well?
Yes. So we currently have occupancy within their right of way.
Okay.
What we are asking them to do, and that is, it's an important characterization and an understanding for y'all, is that we are asking them. We are not in any position to demand to the railroad what we will or won't do in their right of way. So what we are doing is effectively, if you imagine the letter L, the capital L, so we are reversing the L. We have a portion of line that's running parallel to the stream in a dangerous way and then crosses underneath the railroad right of way. What we're doing is we're taking the line where we have good bank embedment further north, closer to Gornto. We're crossing under the railroad there, and then we're running parallel to the railroad on the safe side. At least that's what we're proposing to do with this design. Again, we are beholden to the railroad. We believe that they'll be receptive to it, just based on the understanding that Norfolk Southern is a little bit easier to work with than CSX is. All of the preliminary concept reports that I put together comply with their right-of-way occupancy requirements and burial depths and spacings and all that stuff. But they're, at some point in time, I'm going to submit plans to their online portal, and somebody in Washington, D.C. is going to start reviewing my plans, and they're going to decide whether or not we can do what we want to do. So,
the only other question is just looking at when you said that, have you looked at any other possible way? Because I hear you saying this is just the one way that you look at it.
Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes you look at your option, give yourself some options.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So our first option we looked at 3 separate options. Our first option was to reconstitute the stream bank, basically rebuild the pipe where it is right now, which would entail obtaining a stream buffer variance from the state of Georgia, which would take a very long time. And we made the judgment call that even if we had accomplished that, even if we did reconstitute the bank and bury the line in the bank where it was before, we would still be in the precarious situation that we're in now, wherein during any severe rain event, that stream bank could shift no matter how hard we anchor it or armor the bank with riprap or stone or anything of that nature. We're still in a precarious position. And so our second option was to do what we're pursuing now. Our third option that we briefly considered was to effectively take this line completely out of commission. And in so doing, we would be required to build, I think, 2 lift stations we looked at having to build, which again, just from a perpetual operating cost standpoint, didn't make sense. From a system resiliency standpoint, didn't make sense. And one important fact about this line is it serves as a emergency bypass from the Reamer lift station to the Gornto lift station. And if we abandon this thing, then we completely lose that redundancy, which is a very helpful characteristic of our system. It was one that we used to avoid a spill during Hurricane Idalia. So it's a very important element of the system that we need to retain. So, yeah, that's the dissertation answer. I think we're all hungry for dinner, so I'll, unless nobody else has any more questions, I'll please answer it. Yes,
I
ma'am.
heard the mayor say that this was the starting price of this. I think you said.
Yeah, that's the design.
So it's gonna go up higher.
Yeah, so this is just the design element. 2 things, or I guess 2 additional cost sources that we could, at least the big rocks, right? So there's always the minutia, but the big rocks that we're going to face with this is the design and the actual construction cost. In addition to that, we're going to have the emergency repair cost, the cost to establish the bypass, which is what we're doing right now. And the longer we take on this, we're going to have perpetual operating cost of paying a contractor to run and operate that bypass pump. So that was one of the reasons why this was so urgent, was I want to get this design done. LEA has already begun outside of this proposal approval from y'all. Just being transparent with you, LEA has already begun some of the preliminary legwork to get out there and do survey and start all that. So they've already exerted effort on this in good faith. So yes, one thing that may happen. So let's play out the alternatives here. If we approve this design proposal from LEA and we get plans completed and we get plans submitted to Norfolk Southern for permit approval, and for whatever reason they completely deny this and we have to go back to the drawing board, I will inevitably have to come back to you and ask for additional funds, much in the same way Jason just did for CDM Smith, because it's going to require additional effort to basically rework the plans in a different way. But I wanted to let you all know that that is a possibility, just in case that does happen. We don't anticipate that happening, but just in case it does. So, any other questions for me?
Council? A lot. Thank you.
Yep.
Council, yours for action.
Mayor, make a motion to approve the request as presented.
Second. All in favor, show of hands. Good luck. Good luck, Ben, excuse me. All right, we'll move on to boards, commissions, authorities, and advisory committees. The Lowndes County Airport Authority had a member, Mike Burgoyne, who resigned due to health issues. Unfortunately, since that time, Mike has passed. Had a remembrance for him today that was absolutely beautiful. The storytelling, the Yankees that all showed up to support a guy that we love, the work that he did in our community in a very short amount of time. Airport Authority has asked that an appointment be made in the interim for mayor and council to fill the unexpired term. His term was going to end May 25th, 2025. This appointment was advertised according to our policy adopted by mayor and council. The applicants are as follows in no order of preference: Massimo Pistelli, retired; Paul Hamilton, current attorney at law at Hamilton Trust, Estate and Elder Law. I'll now entertain nominations.
Mayor, I'd like to nominate Paul Hamilton. Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any other nominations? We'll act on the loan. I guess that's by acclamation. Never mind. Paul Hamilton is appointed by acclamation. Paul, congratulations.
Thank you. I look forward to serving. Thank you all for your consideration.
Yeah. You're welcome. We'll now move on to citizens to be heard. This is a portion of the meeting. We ask you to come forward and state your name and address. I'm going to have it for the record. I think Paul's the only one that can come up. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Our policy requires you hold it under 3 minutes so others have time to be heard. Please direct all comments to council as a whole. Do not attempt to engage individual members of council in debate. With that being said, are there any citizens wishing to be heard at this time? All right, we'll move on, close out that portion of the evening and move on to city manager's report. Richard Hardy.
Thanks, Mayor. Mayor, we have a lot going on the remainder of this month and middle of next month. Wednesday, February the 5th, we're having our annual bird supper. The location is the Atlanta Train Depot. Time is 5 p.m., 7 p.m. Still have many tickets. See the city clerk's office if you need tickets, or the customer service at the county. So this opportunity to join in and talk with your legislators for us and outline what's on your mind. What do you need for the city citizens? Engage with your local legislators. Friday, February the 7th, on Main Street, First Friday, location downtown Valdosta. Come out 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Come out and celebrate, see what's going on downtown. Saturday, February 15th, we have our monthly cleanup, Love Where You Live road cleanup. This will take place 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. The meeting location 1701 Barack Obama Boulevard. And the cleanup area will be Ricardo Street from Barack Obama to Claudio Circle. The Also, on Saturday, February the 22nd, is our inaugural Southern Georgia Black Chamber Black History Month Parade. Start time, 12 noon, starting point Pineville Elementary School, 930 Lake Park Road. Inviting everyone to come out and celebrate this event. That's all.
Thank you. Move on to council comments. Start down with Eric. No? Sandra? Moving on now. Tim? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.